people ask me if it's tough to be a woman rider, and my only answer to that is that I really don't know. I've never been a man rider, so all I know is that it's tough for everybody. It's tough for the men, it's tough for the women. Just every day you go out there and you prove yourself again.
Women are riding, but there's still, I mean, you get replaced by men.
It's been over a quarter of a century since women gained the legal right to compete for the high stakes of a jockey's earnings in thoroughbred racing. One of the early pioneers was Patty Barton, who retired in 1984 as America's winningest female jockey with over 1,200 victories. Her son Jerry and daughters Leah and Donna also became jockeys.
My mother was one of the premier female riders, and back in her day and age, she had to very much earn respect. She got into physical altercations in the jocks room on the backside. I mean, she kind of made a name for herself for being tough, but she had to be back then. It was the only way they were going to let her in. They tried to boycott at that time anytime women would ride, and we thank God every day that people like her came along to give us respect, because now the respect is there. People already know we can ride. All we have to do is go out there and prove it.
Donna started riding in 1987 and quickly moved up from smaller tracks to the major league of the Kentucky-Florida circuit. She now rides for top national trainers Dwayne Lucas and Billy Mott. In 1994, Donna became only the second female jockey to compete in a $1 million Breeders' Cup race.
It takes a lot of things to be a good rider, but I think one of the main things that it takes, almost more than anything else, is single-mindedness of purpose, just wanting to win races. I wonder sometimes what I'm doing this for and why I'm getting hot and dirty for nothing, and then I go out there and win a race, and it doesn't matter how long of a dry spell I've had, it made it all seem like it was worthwhile.
Lori Wydick has racked up her share of wins in a career that began in 1984 in Cleveland, Ohio. The Youngstown, Ohio native went over the 1,000 win mark in 1993, joining an elite group of less than a dozen women who have reached that benchmark. She holds 10 leading rider titles at River Downs in Cincinnati and has found success at Kentucky tracks, Turfway Park, Keeneland, and Churchill Downs.
There's a lot of successful females been leading riders at a lot of tracks, but they haven't ridden for the big name outfits or the big stables or the good horses, and they're doing well without them. It'd be really nice to have a few, not just one, but a few girls get in that spot. It'd be very interesting. There are people, though, that are coming up and coming around that are going to get the opportunity to do so. I've been very successful through the years I've been riding, so I'm very content with that.
Paula Bacon is an up-and-coming jockey. She started riding in November of 1993 and quickly captured her first win at Turfway Park a few weeks later.
Slew of Pleasures has the lead, then Cotella goes.
I won my first race at Turfway Park, and then I left for Tampa with my agent Richard DePass, and I was second leading rider in Tampa.
Paula grew up around horses. Her mother, Susan Bacon, trained racehorses and is the widow of jockey Johnny Bacon. Johnny was first married to the flamboyant female rider Mary Bacon, one of Paula's early idols. Paula has a new idol now.
My fiance Willie Martinez is a jockey also, and we ride competitively together, and actually right now he's the leading rider here at Turfway. We haven't been next to each other that many times in a race, but you both want to win. There's no, you're not thinking about what can I do for him, to help him. You're thinking just, you don't want to do anything to discourage him just like anyone else, but you want to win the race. So I think you ride just as hard or harder towards them as as you would anyone else. Being a female, it's harder because they think it's a man's game. Men can ride harder, faster, which it's not true, because it's just whoever has the talent and who doesn't.
One woman with the talent, Penny Chavez, gave up a career that began in 1970 at Centennial Racetrack in Denver, Colorado.
I got married in 1972 and raised two boys that are now jockeys. And after 20 years, I decided that I wanted to ride again. My brother, who had been such an inspiration to me, passed away with cancer. It was just very hard for me to deal with losing him, and he had taught me so much about riding. He was not just an inspiration for riding, he was an inspiration for life. I just made him a promise on his deathbed that we were going to go back out and win one.
Penny quickly won one for her brother and has not stopped yet, but she remembers how it was in the early days.
It was very unusual for girls to be riding then. I think there were possibly a half dozen in the whole country. And one plus thing of that was anything you did at least got you attention. Something would be overlooked now. If a girl won 2 races in one day at that time, it was sort of a major event. So you did get a lot more attention, got a lot of publicity. The bad side of it was just such a novelty, and trainers were a little reluctant to use you. It was a man's world, and people just didn't think girls were strong enough to ride horses in that manner. I didn't have a lot of the problems that some girls did. My brother had been a very well-recognized rider, and it somehow gave me a little bit of a head start into it. Everybody knew that if I wasn't capable, he wouldn't have let me start, and they had such great respect for him that I really feel that it gave me sort of an advantage.
Her sons have the advantage now.
I'm just really proud of both of them. Mark's a very accomplished rider, and I think Casey has a lot of potential, and it's just it's a lot of fun for me to watch them out there competing and riding against them.
Patty Cooksey, another Youngstown, Ohio native, started riding and winning races 10 years after women began to ride.
It was quite a few years ago, and I started back in 1979, in August actually, and it's been a long time since then. It was a tough road to hoe, I think, at times. There was only a few girls riding at the time, and girls just weren't a part of racing, and we were just breaking into it.
Patty broke in just fine. By 1984, she had become a contender.
I became the second female rider in history to ever ride in the Kentucky Derby. That was quite a thrill. It was really a lot of fun, and the excitement of Derby week, the whole week was leading up to the Derby, was very exciting. We got a lot of media, and you know, I think it was just something new for another female to be riding in the Derby.
She hit another career milestone 4 years later.
And in 1988, I became the first, or the winningest female jockey in the nation. Actually, you know, I like saying the world, because there was no other female that had won more races than I had. When the media at Turfway Park told me that I was 11 wins from being the winningest female jockey, it was going to be one of those things that would only take me a couple weeks to win 11 races, but my goodness, I didn't know what laid ahead.
One morning, she was kicked in the knee by a horse. That sidelined her for a few weeks. Shortly after returning to the saddle, she injured that knee again and was off 2 more weeks.
It took me almost 2 months to win those 11 races, and it was just really tough. And all in the meanwhile, I've got Julie Crone up in New York winning races right and left, gaining on me at every win that she had. So it was kind of a race to the wire.
She hit that wire on Sunday, February 28th. That Monday morning, Patty was in the hospital getting her knee operated on.
So if I hadn't done it that day, I'd have never accomplished that feat. So I was kind of blessed there where it came along and I was able to break the record. And I think it was about a week or 10 days later, Julie Crone, you know, finally surpassed my record. But you know, I mean, I could say that I had it for at least a while.
Patty Cooksey is currently the nation's second leading female jockey and is approaching the 2,000 win mark.
Thank you.